Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm Tony with RcHelpDotCom, and today we're going to be talking about making servo extensions. You know, these little guys. These things are so freaking handy, but I'll tell you what, I am sick and tired of ordering them. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to make these things. Now, of course, like anything else, you're going to need some tools. The first and foremost is going to be a set of crimpers. Now, you can get just the mechanical crimpers, you know, you just kind of squeeze down on them just like any pair of pliers. And you do one side and then you do the other side. One side small, one side large. The small is to crimp down on the actual wires. The large side is to crimp down on the insulation. Pliers like these, which are ratcheting, these have two sides. Some of them only have one, but these right here have two different sides, one small, one large, and then it's got a smaller diameter and a larger diameter. Now, what that does is the insulation side and the bare wire side, this crimps them both at once. And the way I do it, my large side is out here towards the end. I'll put it in that one first, kind of clamp down on it just a little bit, and then once I get the wire in there and crimp it down, then I'll move it over to the small side. Now, if I'm working with something 18 gauge, I will only use this large side. I won't go to the smaller side. It tends to damage some of the strands in the wire. So these little servo crimping pliers, these things are invaluable. I put this off for a long time buying these. Now that I have them, it makes life so much easier. Now, there is a link down in the description. You guys can go check these out and pick a pair out for yourself. Invaluable, I'm telling you. The next thing you're going to need some kind of package that comes with your male ends, your female ends. You'll use more females than you will male, but your male ends, your female ends, and then this one comes with all these different black pieces in here. And what these things are, it's the end of the servo wire, is the little plug that you put over the little metal pieces, one of these two here. And then the other tools that you're going to need, you probably already have an X-Acto knife to strip the wires. If you have a wire stripper, that works even better. A pair of scissors or a pair of wire cutters to cut the wire. These wires are so small that pretty much any pair of scissors will cut right through it. And from there, all you need is time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive up close. Let's get an extension made. All right, so now you've done measured, you know how long your servo extension needs to be. You've got your servo extension, you've got the ends of it kind of flared apart like this. Now we need to strip off about 1/8 of an inch. That's all you need, just 1/8 of an inch of insulation to expose that bare wire. And then we've got to get in here, and we're going to need some of these, and we're going to need some of these. These right here are going to be for the male terminal, which is going to go in that little plug right there, and then these female terminals will go into this small plug. This small plug is exactly the same as the small plug here, except it has been fitted up inside this little sleeve. This one, I think I actually glued together because it does not come apart. So for this job, what we're going to need is 3 of the females and then 3 of the males. And since I'm going to tear this apart, I'm not going to use my good ones. I'm going to use these cheaper ones. Shouldn't really be a difference. I'm just take and cut 3 of those off, and then we can put all of our stuff back up. And a link to a kit like this will also be down in the description. Now, the way I like to do this is I'll take the X-Acto knife and I'll just lay it to where it's got about 1/8 of an inch, and then very carefully just kind of score it. Look at where it is, then I'll come over here to the other side, and then I'll score it on this side. Be extremely careful if you do this, guys. Last thing I want is for you guys to say, I cut myself doing it like you. That's not my fault. Then we just pull that off. As you can see right there, we got the wire stripped back. We're ready to put the ends on it. Now first, we're going to start out with the female ends. And because this is so small, it's easy to just grab it with a pair of pliers and then just go ahead, bend it back and forth. It'll eventually work harden and break right off. It will break right off. Now we're going to take one of these, we're going to open up our pliers, and we're just going to set it down in there. Now make sure you know which side is your large side, which side is your small side. My large side is over here, and then my small side is over here. So I'll put it in there, 1, 2, 3, and then I will just click it that 4th time, and that's just enough to hold this piece in there. I start with the negative because the negative is always on the right when you have your clips up here on the top. At least that's the way I found it. I'm going to give these wires a little bit of a twist just so they don't fray apart whenever we put them inside here. Then I'll pull those other 2 over, making sure to keep this wire flat. Then we'll just insert it in there. Then I look on this side to make sure that I see the wire, and then we go ahead and crimp down, release, bring it out, bring it right over to this next one, and then crimp it down again. Once it's released, your end is securely crimped to that wire. Go ahead and do the middle wire, which is the positive wire on most systems. If you have an older system like Airtronics, some of those, the positive's on the outside. Alright guys, just so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing here, we're going to take it, put it up in there, just like so. And like I said, that 4th click is just enough to hold that in there. Now we're going to take our wire, go ahead and feed it in there in the hole. And then on this side, I'm going to look to make sure that I can see that wire in there. And then crimp down on it, release it, bring it over here, just line it up, crimp it on down, and there you go. 1 crimped female servo end. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and do this one just real quick, just to show you. I mean, it doesn't take very long at all to do these little crimps. And you do screw up sometimes. I didn't have this one far enough in there. Whenever you're first starting out, you're probably going to have 15 or 20 of these bad crimps. But that's why you buy a roll of them like this. Alright, go ahead and reload it. Put it on down in there. Go ahead and crimp it. Bring it out. Look at it. Looks good. And there we go. And if you cut your wire evenly, stripped it evenly, and put it into these ends evenly, then it should be even, not like what this is. But negative always to the right whenever you're looking at your tabs on your little connector here. Well, I tried putting these ends into the plug that I took off. It seems to not like that one. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop this open. We're going to grab us a couple of these 3-pin connectors. We're going to use those. Squeeze them together. Go ahead and pop them in there. Slide them forward until you hear them click. My negative was a little bit short, so I have to kind of cram that one up in there. Sometimes you may need to get some kind of pokey bit and get up in there, push on the metal. Don't push on the wire, push on the metal, and get those things up in there to seat. I use an X-Acto knife. Guys, if you don't feel comfortable with this, don't do it. Still got to get this signal wire pushed up in there. Sometimes they go in there for a while. And then once they're in there, they're in there. They're not going to come out until you pick them tabs up. Now the process for the male pins is exactly the same. So I'm going to go ahead and break these off. I'm just going to go ahead and crimp these on real fast. Just, I mean, like I said, they're exactly the same. The only difference is this has a male end, the other one has a female end. These are just a hair bit longer. And then sometimes you'll do that. It'll over crimp it when you're trying to hold it. One, two, three, four. Take our ends, go ahead and strip the wire back. Now we got dogs barking outside. Go ahead and strip the insulation off of them. Now, whenever you're putting on male terminals, your negative is going to be on the other side. So we'll bring that signal wire out, kind of give it just a little bit of a twist, and feed our wire in there. Make sure we can see it on the other side. Go ahead and crimp it down. Take a look at it. Looks good. Go ahead and crimp it on the smaller side. And just like that, you put that terminal on. Like I say, it's the exact same process. So I'm going to go ahead and put these other two terminals on, and then I'll show you about putting them into the connector. So now you got your three ends on. Now you're going to grab your little plastic end. Make sure you're pushing it into the correct hole, the correct end, and then just feed them in there. Sometimes with these cheaper pliers, they don't always want to go in correctly. So you may have to kind of bend them around here and there. And of course, taking your little pokey bit, getting them up in there where they're supposed to be till they lock in. And once you have it pushed in and all the pins are nice and even, that's it. You have a working servo extension. As you can see, that's just bare male ends, and this can be dangerous if you go ahead and plug this into your receiver and then short these out, which is pretty much the reason for this little cap that's on these. But the way it is right here, push them together, throw some heat shrink over this, let it shrink down on both sides of this to where it keeps it held together. You'll never have a problem, and these things will never come apart with that heat shrink on there. So there you go, guys. That's how easy it is to make a servo extension, even if you don't have those little sleeves to go over this. If by chance you do have the sleeves, they come separate from the ends, and all they do, they push over and they lock on to this little lip right here. Now again, the servo crimpers and the little kit that I use that's got all the ends in it, it's all linked down in the description. I'll even see if I can find you guys some wire to link down in the description. Making these yourself rather than buying them, in the long run, it'll pay off. You don't have to pay for shipping. You don't have to wait for it to be shipped. And I mean, it is an investment. You know, you're probably going to spend 15, 20 bucks on these. That connector kit with all the ends in it, that's probably 10 bucks or so. And then your biggest expense is going to be your wire. Copper is still ridiculously high on price. But like I said, in the long run, it's going to pay for itself. You know, the fact that you don't have to get 30 millimeter or 60 millimeter extensions, you can make your own custom extensions, is more than worth what all this stuff costs together. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or suggestions, guys, post them in the comment section below. Or better yet, come on over to our forum and post up. We got a brand new layout. We have condensed that forum down a lot. I'm talking a lot. So I want everybody's opinion on what you guys think in the forum. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. You're going to see here on the screen somewhere, probably somewhere over here or here, somewhere, a little Patreon link. Guys, if we can get enough patrons, I will do actual reviews of tools, of aircraft, of transmitters, whatever. And if the patrons pay for it, I'm going to give it away to the first person that brought up to do the review on that particular item. So click that Patreon link, become a patron of RC Help. It would be greatly appreciated. As always, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. I want to thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.